Welcome, Mario. Welcome to 1 Million Minds. I'm super excited that you're here. And I want to give the audience a little bit of background about you. And then I'll let you talk a little bit about your background in your own words. But starting in 2012, Mario was selling blenders door to door, from then to high-end kitchen appliances, to business incubators, to consulting in blockchain. And now in 2020, Mario has multiple ventures, well on track to 7 to 8 figure businesses. So first of all, I have to say kudos to you with all of your success, and I know you're just getting started. So in your own words, I want you to tell us, the audience, a little bit about what got you started, and what is a common thread that you've learned as you went through this journey.
Sure. I like the second question even more. How I started was pretty simple. I was doing banking and finance. I didn't know what entrepreneurship meant. I was entrepreneurial since a kid. You hear this a lot. It's a bit cheesy, but that's the truth. I was selling anything I can get my hands on. But I knew what entrepreneurship meant. I was doing banking and finance, and in my mind, it was a traditional path. You finish university, you get a job, you move up, and then you make money when you're 30s, 40s. And then I was watching a YouTube video of a boy called Farah Gray. He made his first $1 million at age 14, apparently. And it clicked. I was about 20 back then. It clicked that, holy shit, like at 20, not only am I not too young, I couldn't even be too old to become an entrepreneur, which is not true. But that's my mind at then. Like, I immediately dropped out of university. I was second or third year of banking and finance, and got the first job I could get my hands on, which was door knocking, selling initially water filters. The way I got the job was I got interviewed. So I called up. He's like, hey, come meet me there tomorrow. I go there. I meet him. He interviews me in his car, gives me a few flyers. 5 minutes later, I'm knocking on doors and offering product. It worked really well. And as I said earlier before the interview, 6 figures from the beginning as a salesperson. Not because I'm a great salesperson. I'm a good salesperson, but that's not the only reason. I happened to land on a product that was really selling well. And then the model they had really made sense. It was a subscription model. So that's how I got to where I am now. And obviously the story continues. Companies are launched and the money I made and lost. Now, one thing I learned on the journey, and you probably read about my journey, I've been through ups and downs. My first business, $1 million first year, 10 million by the second year. And then I had a competitor ruthlessly try to bring me down. They lost in court. And then I was scammed a few years later. I launched another company to the millions. I was scammed, almost lost everything. I had a personal matter. So it was a really, really rough road. But obviously I had a lot of new businesses that made a lot of money along the way. And the first lesson I have is that money is really hard to make. Money is not abundant. We were talking about it before. This is the reality of entrepreneurship. People that want to sell you a course will tell you it's abundant, will tell you there's a lot of money. They probably have money to say that. But people that are not selling you anything and they have even more money, they'll tell you money is really tough to make. If you look at the studies of the success rate of startups, if you look at the studies of how many startups raise capital, it is ruthless. It is depressing. And I learned that, Raj. I learned that about 3 years ago. I was living the high life, traveling, me, my friend, my assistant as well. So 3 of us, sometimes 4 of us, invite my team members, go to nice hotels, travel business class. It was a really good life. Because in my mind, I'm like, that's it. I have millions. I'm never have to worry about money again. I earned that comfort. Mm-hmm. Boy, was I wrong. I realize now that I'm thankful enough, and anyone that has a computer to watch this, you should be thankful to realize you're part of the 0.00 whatever 1% of the people that managed to make it in life. A combination of luck with your DNA and luck with your surrounding and things you've had. And obviously hard work and mindset, etc., plays a role, but luck and mindset. And we can talk about luck afterwards. So when you realize the value of the money you have, and that most of the YouTube videos are the small percentage of people that succeed, but there's a lot more people that did things right, that hustled, that did not succeed, you realize how difficult it is. So yeah, that's a summary of my journey, man.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I think you've touched on a couple of things that resonated with me. And that's one of the reasons we have in this interview is I have a hard time believing how much people are, I don't call it scam, but basically they are selling the dream. But they say, okay, take this one course, and by the end of 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever number of weeks, you are going to be rolling in money. And then you realize I'm a big numbers guy, and you realize 95% of people never finish a course that they start. So, and I talked to 1 or 2 of these course creators, and I asked them, hey guys, you're selling all these courses, that's great. I was into it, so I finished even I didn't finish 100%, 80% of it, but a lot of people don't start. What do you think about these numbers? And they said, my job is to sell these courses, whether they consume it or not is not my problem. So that really put me off on this whole course creation. Not saying they're not good people who create courses with the right intent, but I think as people, we need to understand that the course is not one course. It might be very educational, but you get so much good information on YouTube right now for free that do you really need to pay for these courses? Do you think the next course that you pay 3,000 is actually going to make you make money? I can tell you the best way for you to make money is actually going and implement, failing and learning and pivoting and going again, right? So I completely agree with you. And I think we'll talk about luck per se. We'll talk about it a little bit. So, but I wanted to also ask you, um, so to me, like I'll classify you under, like, let's say, growth hacker for somebody who does growth management for your client, you and others very well. So, but then I hear you talk about a lot of series of mini experiments, right? You try a lot of different things. And if you say try 1,000 things, 900 or 950 might not work, but 50 works, and then you jump on it. And then you put money in or energy or focus in that, and then you start the next set of experiments. So when starting out, you have the resources now, so you can scale it a little differently. But what kind of feedback do you have for people who are starting out right now? Because that's one of the things I'm learning is if most entrepreneurs just come to you and say, hey, will this idea work? And I always tell them, which is, I think the similar message you say is, I am not your market. If I'm your market, I can tell you maybe it makes sense, but you need to go test this in your target audience and then get feedback, right? So based on that overarching thing, what do you recommend for people with not enough resources to do all these experiments? If they're starting out, what is the best way? Because almost everybody asks you the question and asks me the question, is this a good idea? Will I be successful? How do you answer that question?
And I'm going to show you an example, not just answer it.
Okay.
In terms of what I do, I test a lot. So we launch 5 new products, about 4 new business ideas every week or month, depending on the period that we're talking about. So right now we're launching a lot because of how quickly the society is changing. Most of them will fail. Now I have the luxury of having a team develop the website quickly, launch a marketing campaign, test the product. Most people don't have that. So either you partner with someone that could do the work, or you just have to save some money and do it, or do it yourself. Now, do what exactly? Well, it's very simple. When I want to launch an idea, I'll show you now. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Let me see.
Okay. So if you want to launch a business and you put, let's say I'll put examples, ventilator. Okay. Let's say you want to start selling ventilators. That's the one that comes to my head. You could see here, ventilators picked up and then plummeted. Now, this is just using Google Trends, something available, not a course, nothing at all, available freely for anyone. And I made a video on how to use Google Trends and other tools to see if a business idea is worth pursuing, because timing is everything. Look at this. If you're the smartest person and launch a ventilator, company selling ventilators in 2019, 2018, 2017, you're screwed. Because not you're screwed, but so I'll rephrase that. It's a lot harder to succeed. Look at my screen. Look at this. That's before. Now, if you sold it, this is now because of COVID, everyone wants ventilators. If you sold it in early 2020, you could be a really bad marketer, but you would have made a lot of money. Why? Because look at this. It went up far out, 33x. Not 33x. It went up to 100, from 3 to 100. That's crazy, almost 100x. So that's ventilator. Now, this is probably the most important thing in my businesses. And that's what I talk about the most. Is about finding an idea where the timing is right. Now, anyone watching this, I'll give you a video that's 5-6 minutes, more important than any course you'll take, by far. It's Bill Gross, B-I-L-L Gross, G-R-O-S-S, TED speech. He talks about a study he's done. He's a really successful entrepreneur, an older man, but really, really smart. And he's done a study on the most important factor in a business's success between the business idea, which everyone loves the idea, the team, everyone talks about having a great team, the funding, how much money you raise, the business plan, something else, and timing. By far, number one was timing, the most important factor. So if you know how to time your business, you already reduced your reliance on luck significantly because you're timing it right. Launching a YouTube TikTok in 1995 or launching it now in 2020 is a massive difference. So that's about the importance of timing. Now, to kind of pivot away to what you would do now. Well, I talked about the importance of timing. How do you leverage that fact? Well, just check out my videos where I talk about it. Again, it's all free. Everything's free. Anything you need to do this is free. Don't pay for anyone. Even if you want to be motivated, watch Tony Robbins, watch Gary Vee. They're free. Okay. So you got motivation ticked. You got timing ticked. Then what? Well, now it's execution. So we find a trend. You watch my videos where I talk about finding a trend. That's what I do now. Obviously, I've got a team that does it at scale. Develop a website. Let's say it's a product. Don't sell the product. Don't buy the product. Make a website. Copy some other website. You know, you're bootstrapping. I don't care if you're doing things that are great. I don't care. I want you to succeed. You know, if a company's making $100 million a year and you're copying their website and selling in any country for a week to test the idea if it works, advertise a bit on Facebook. If it works, then you're onto something. If something works, if people pay you for your product at a good CPA, cost per acquisition, so the marketing cost doesn't outweigh the money you make from the sale. So if people pay for your product, this is the best vote of confidence you have. So when that happens, you go all in, because it's really rare for that to happen. Really rare for the formula to click where you sell something and you make money. The cost of the sale, the money you make from the product is less than the marketing cost. When you do that, double down, then make a website with your own material. So test it for a few days. Then you make your own website. Then you find a way to buy the product or drop ship it or whatever you have as in terms of money, if you have money to buy stock, and you can go all in. So this is a strategy I'd recommend for anyone starting out, but the same strategy I'd recommend for any e-commerce business. And it works for agencies selling services as well. So in terms of selling services, you do the same thing. You do a website and you just sell the service. Now, either you deliver the service yourself or you go on Fiverr and you have someone deliver it to test the idea. And then you can bring it in-house when you start making money. So the thesis of my recommendation and the way I do business is test while mitigating your risk. Don't spend a lot of money and time on a website until you know the idea works. Don't buy stock or start hiring or employing people until you know the service will work, because it's really hard to make it work.
Absolutely. I'm going to second your thoughts on it, because even me as a younger entrepreneur, I thought, oh man, I have this idea, and the idea was $1 million idea right off the bat, right? Because all I needed was 2 more weeks of me telling people the idea, and I was done. I was going to be a millionaire. But what realized, I think you get humbled the more you do entrepreneurship, is how many things you don't know. And also, I think people need to be aware an idea is nothing, to your point. A lot of people, like you said, idea is the number one thing. Then they're like, oh, if I had capital, then I can make it big. I know hundreds of startups that failed that are well funded. So your point well taken is idea, team, execution, all these are important, but across the board, the most important thing is absolutely timing. Even some of these not great ideas hit the time. I mean, again, there's a lot of videos about this, but just revalidating that timing is critical. Not saying even some crappy ideas can make it as long as the timing is right. So
when I launched my first business, the one that got me $1 million first year, 10 million second year, I did it so bad, Raj. I was very aggressive in my marketing. My website though was horrendous. Even to this day, my website is horrendous. By the end of the year, it should be better. It's been like 7 years, 6 years, 7 years, and the website is still depressing. But the idea was right, and we did enough things right to make it work.
I mean, what you said is critical. I want the early entrepreneurs in general to pay attention to that, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs have an idea and then they spend thousands of dollars creating a website without even validating the market. So why, it just blows my mind, right? I mean, not saying that I have done the same thing too. I had an idea, then I spent $1,000 even before I sold the first thing. So what Mario says, what everybody should follow, whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, your second business, doesn't matter. Test, experiment, and prove it out, right? Whether your product or service, there's a lot of ways you can test the market by having it ready. And then when you find a buyer, then you can figure out how to deliver on it. And I think that is a very key takeaway from here.
I'll tell you an interesting fact. 2 of my biggest failures, they cost 6 to 7 figures in terms of product launches, and the loss is ongoing. Both of them were the only 2 ideas I did not validate because I believed in the product so much. It was such a cool product. Both of them, such a cool product. If I give you the website, you look at it, you're like, wow, it was a massive failure. So they're the two ideas, only two ideas I've launched where I did not do my the risk mitigation strategy of testing the market. Two of them, and both of them turned out to be my biggest failures because we bought stock before testing in both cases.
So, I mean, that's a great example, right? I have plenty of example. Like I opened a cryotherapy business because
Aye.
interesting fact. So I got two locations going. Then I realized, oh man, now I have to focus on marketing because it's a great idea. I didn't validate. When you went out to the market, maybe it's different where you are, Mario, but when you went out to the market, 99% of people had no idea what cryotherapy was. The high-end athlete. You saw LeBron doing it. You saw the NBA, other NBA, NFL stars doing it. So I assume everybody knew about it. So 95% of my energy was spent in educating customers before they can
Expensive.
come into the store. And then the other side of things, I bought the most, like I bought the Mercedes Benz of, or the Porsche of the cryo machine. And there was another one's available, which was like one third the price. I'm like, no, no, I'm getting the top end. Doesn't matter if it's about the customer was not willing to pay more than $25 a session, regardless of how nice it was. So all this would have been avoided if I did some more market research instead of falling in love with an idea and then putting all this money in, then figuring out, oh my God, this is, if I had to redo it, I'll buy a second-hand machine and buy the cheapest rented place because regardless, you have to spend so much money on education of your audience. It just, and that doesn't scale very well too. So anyway, there's a lot of reasons for you. We are telling you guys this because I lost $250,000 in that venture. So I do not want you to, so learn from others, right? It doesn't matter what age you're starting, learn from others. Please validate your market before you jump into it.
Man, even look, if I tell you who's the craziest entrepreneur, the biggest risk taker, you'd say, oh, maybe, I don't know, Richard Branson is probably a common name that comes up. Richard Branson will tell you an entrepreneur mitigates risk. When he launched Virgin Airlines, which is considered one of his craziest decisions and riskiest decisions, he had an agreement with the airplane supplier to return the airplane if it does not succeed. Within a year, he had a year to return it. So even Branson mitigated his risk. I cannot stomach risk. Then you might say, okay, but look at Elon Musk. He took the risk. He almost went out of business in 2008 and he made it. I'm like, yes. 0.00001% of people that don't mitigate risk will make it. And they're the ones that will be on the headlines. You can go down that path. I know entrepreneurs that have, as long as you're ready to stomach the fact that over 90% of businesses that want to raise capital do not raise capital. They fail to raise capital. And from the 5 to 10% that manage to raise capital, over 90% of them fail after raising capital and having a strong team in Silicon Valley. So these are the numbers. This is the reality of business. I don't want to scare anyone from entrepreneurship. I just want them to be ready to, and then just to reduce their risk. That's probably my, it doesn't sound sexy, but that's my ethos in business, risk mitigation.
Oh, absolutely. I think what you're saying and I'm saying is important for entrepreneurs to hear, right? Because they're hearing, they look at, to your point, Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Michael Dell, and they're like, oh, they dropped out of college. They went to started in their garage, and look at how much money they're making right now. But to your point, that is a very, very small percentage of people who get that successful. And just because somebody did it doesn't mean you have to understand. Also, these guys are not, I would say, low IQ guys, right? They all were very smart guys too. So if you take all that away and just say, oh, these guys made it, they was college dropouts, so I can make it, and they made $1 billion, so I can make it. It just stretching the truth a little bit. So
yeah, like how many Raj, how many Bill Gates are they that did not make it? 7 point something billion people on the planet. How many Elon Musks are they? How many Dells are they that did not make it? Malcolm Gladwell researched that fact, and that's where luck comes in. Bill Gates will tell you luck plays. Every humble, self-aware, successful entrepreneur, more successful than me, much more successful, like those big guys, will tell you luck played a big role. Luck plays a big role. That's the fact of it. Now, there are things you could do to mitigate the impact of luck, like mitigating a risk, like testing an idea. When you test an idea and you launch something that worked after you tested it, luck plays a smaller role. And there's obviously some things you cannot control, like, being ill or getting hit by a bus.
I agree. All right, and I think the other big thing is also everybody. I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of entrepreneurs are looking for shortcuts. What I mean by that is they do not want to put the time in, but they want the upside. They want to be millionaires, and they talk with every one of these success stories. If you see, very few people made it. Like first attempt, they made it. They were overnight millionaires. But almost every, I'm going to say about 95% of really successful entrepreneurs I've talked to, they went through hell, right? They went through so many ups and downs, 10 years, 20 years, but all we hear is the story about the last business that did well, and everybody wants to emulate that. So I want you to talk a little bit about the hard work that went behind this.
Ah, man. Yes. Tell me about it. All right. Look, I'll give you my story, but before being anecdotal and giving you my story, I'll give you a fact. Studies show that there's 4 key factors to success. I can't remember the book, the source. They call it conscientiousness. 4 things. I'll go from the least important to the most important. The least important is being a perfectionist. Now, me and you would say, no, you shouldn't be a perfectionist. You should just launch. I'm not a perfectionist. Yes, but after you launch, you have to perfect your idea to get the best conversion rate, to get the best average order value, the best lifetime value of the customer. So after you launch something that works, you have to optimize it and perfect it to have long-term success. That's the least important. Then the second least important one is being organized. Being organized helps a lot. You have to have a project management tool. Otherwise, you'll be all over the place like all those entrepreneurs running around like headless chicken, chasing shiny objects. So being organized is number 2. And if you're not those characteristics like me, I'm not organized and I'm not a perfectionist, hire people that are when you're at that stage. Now, the 2 most important things. One is hard work. Everything else being equal, you put 2 entrepreneurs side by side, same skills, same everything. Everything being equal, same luck, same tools. The person that will succeed is very simple. The one that will work harder. And especially when times are tough. So when times are tough, the person that will go through those tough times and break through and keep fighting, they got more likelihood to win. This is logic. So working hard is key. Now, and I'll tell you about how hard I worked. Let me say the most important thing, and I'll tell you about my story. But the most important thing, even more important than working hard, is working smart. If you're going to work your ass off day after day after day after day after day on a business idea like the ones that failed, or the cryotherapy business with the expensive machines, you could do it for 5-10 years and it just might flop. And by the time you succeed, someone else did it and they have a franchise across whatever country you launched it in. So working hard, doing the wrong thing, that's where timing comes in, is the formula to a miserable life, beating a dead horse. So working smart, like calibrating your compass, doing the right thing, working hard, then being organized, being perfectionist. Now with me, like if you look at my Instagram and stuff, you'll see all those videos and photos of me loving life. You know, I dance a lot as my hobby. I dance on stage, blowing up cars, jumping out of helicopters, all that shit. I worked every minute of my life from launching my business for about 4 years to build my business, 3 to 4 years. I did nothing but work. Literally, I had no life, man. Like my 20s until my mid to late 20s, I did not do anything fun. I didn't go clubbing, didn't bother having a girlfriend, didn't have a social life, didn't have friends. Even before launching my business, I was obsessed to this day, but not as extreme, in self-development, working on my ability to speak, go to Toastmasters, the way I speak, my gestures, the way I sit, the way I stand, the way I talk, the way I observe. I was obsessed with perfecting myself, martial arts, everything. And then when it came to business, I was obsessed in that more than ever. So you have to work. I'd wake up, literally go to my desk, immediately I work in my home, immediately I have like sticky notes everywhere, calls, emails, pop. Then when Australian business hours finish, I have to catch up for another 2 hours. I was in Australia. So 5 p.m. to 7 p.m, catching up, last bits and pieces. From 7 or 8 p.m. or whatever, till like late in the morning, I would be doing the UK because I launched in the UK on my 2nd year. And I was the only person. So it just is a rough period of time, working like crazy. But I love the hustle and I love building something. So yeah, man, like I started living life after I had my success, and then I went crazy and caught up with everything to have a good life. But before that, you have to work like a dog.
I agree. And I think that's a very fair message, right? So I think anybody who's looking for a shortcut, um, I can tell you, you are looking at disappointment, right? So like what Mario said is very important is hard work is important, and I think a lot of people are making hustling 24 hours sexy. But what you said is key is, yes, you have to work hard, but work smart. If you does something doesn't work, pivot. If you say, no, I'm just going to do something that doesn't work for 24 hours, I don't get any sleep, and then you come talk to me or talk to anybody, say, man, I'm working as hard as I can. and I've met those folks, so I feel bad for them, is they're very pigeonholed in their ideas that they don't want to pivot from that. So work smart, look at the data, make good decisions to be better entrepreneurs. So before we wrap up, Mario, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about if there's any, let's say my audience, I just want to give you some, again, I'm a big data guy, so I've met a lot of entrepreneurs, and once I started looking into why there's so many people doing courses, they go from course to course, they don't actually act on it. And there are some people who actually act on it in 6 months go to the job. And then the others who do it 6 months, a year, and then they get a little bit of success, but they're still kind of trudging along. And some of them are like made $1 million. Now they want to know, they hit a ceiling, they want to go from 1 to 10 million. So if we're going to put these in buckets, there are 70% of entrepreneurs I talk to, they are more of a entrepreneurs. They just want to go from course to course to course. They never take any action. So I'm going to put them aside because there's nothing I can do to help them. There's others who jump in at least and do something about it, but then they don't have the right mentorship or the right idea or the right timing, and they leave. What I'm really focused on are entrepreneurs who made the plunge, they're in it, they're not doing really well, or they hit a wall and they want to go to the next level. So if you're going to talk to those audience of entrepreneurs, what would be some words of advice you can give them?
So how much money they're making, just to give me an idea?
They are making about, let's say, anywhere between 300,000 to $500,000. That's where they are.
Right. So when you're at that stage, this is probably where my expertise comes, because I spent most of my life scaling those businesses to a lot more. When you're reached the level, first tap yourself on the back. You've literally crossed the toughest part, which is going from zero to something, to 6 figures. Going from zero to some sort of money is the hardest part. So well done. Now, what do you do next? This is where the difference between entrepreneur and CEO comes in. Still be entrepreneurial, but number one is hire the right people around you. Surround yourself with the right people. If you're disorganized, get someone organized. If you're lazy, like you don't want to chase a new idea, etc., or you don't want to execute, get someone who's more driven, someone more entrepreneurial. So right people around you. Number two is be organized. I cannot stress it enough. A business is what? A business is people, point number one, and systems. You put good people with good systems, which is even more important than the people now. And that's how you have a successful business. That's your moat. That's your equity. So use project management tool to have a good system. If you do those two things, you've really done most of it. And that would apply to any industry. And then you could use my methodology of testing new ideas constantly be innovating, because you never know when, if you have a restaurant chain, something like COVID happens. Or if you have whatever, dance school, again, something like COVID happens and everyone goes remote onto Zoom. So if you have different sources of income, like I do, I've got a lot of companies. Let's say I have one company, and one of my consulting companies is in blockchain. Let's say blockchain gets a bad rap and there's a big scam and everything goes to zero. I can wake up in the morning like nothing happened. Why? Because I got other revenue sources. So point number 3, don't be complacent. That's what I did when I got to not 6 figures, 7 and 8 figures, but don't be complacent. That's point number 3. So people, systems, and no complacency. Keep testing and iterating, like I mentioned earlier.
Perfect. So are there, I know you use a lot of tools, but if you say, there's almost some kind of new tool to help with some of this, because when I'm looking at growth and helping companies grow, there's the acquisition piece, there's the retention and revenue. There's a lot of different components to it. So the question I'm asking you is more on acquisition, client acquisition, because I'm going to say 80% of the clients I talk to, the entrepreneurs I talk to, that's where they struggle the most. So I want to get them off that, and then I'll give you
what we do. I'll give you, I know where you're going with this. I'll give you the strategy, the things that I would recommend, man, that would work so well. Don't only listen to what I say. I'll tell you what I'm doing. So copy what I do. LinkedIn. So I'll go granular with exact strategies. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. LinkedIn outreaches work so well. Now I like to do things differently. And I don't care if Mario, you're using a bot, etc. I don't care. You're a business person. Just do those things because someone else will do them and they'll eat your lunch. So number 1, automated LinkedIn outreaches with something like Phantom Buster or WeConnect. I don't know how to run it myself, but I have a team that does. So LinkedIn outreach is number 1. Facebook automated outreaches with Phantom Buster works really well. Number 2. Number 3 is platforms like Reddit and Twitter. You can connect to anyone. Learn how to copyright properly. There's a lot of copywriting courses. for free, available online. Use those tools, because with the right copy, because nothing will work with the wrong copy. You can have Phantom Buster, WeConnect, all the outreaches. If the copy's wrong, it doesn't work. And you can use nothing automated, but have a good copy and do it manually, and you could have more success. So copy is number one. And you can get a copywriter or take a course. There's a free course by Sam Parr, P-A-R-R, copywriting course. Someone can DM me, I'll send you the link. It is incredible. The guy is really smart. And then there's Copywriting, have a course, copywriting, but with a K. So it's right, copywriting course. And you'll see, I think it's free. Most of the stuff you need are free. So fix your copywriting or improve or perfect your copywriting. Use automated outreaches on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Reddit and Twitter are undervalued. And TikTok. If you're not looking at TikTok, you probably hear about it all the time. The demographic is aging really quickly, which is normal. The platform is maturing. If you thought about Facebook in the early days when it launched, it was just students at university. Now it's only your parents that use Facebook in most countries. So TikTok is going down that same path and much quicker. So use TikTok. Now, I don't know what business the person listening to this is launching, but TikTok is working for entrepreneurship. You got people teaching entrepreneurship on TikTok to people in their early 20s. And you got people, in their late 20s, 30s, even 40s going onto TikTok. It's crazy. So yeah, TikTok is another one. Those are probably the what we're doing the most. And WhatsApp. WhatsApp tremendously well. So I would recommend WhatsApp. But it's about quality, not quantity. If you get a group of people that are completely irrelevant, they'll just sit there talking about nothing with no direction and there's no value. But if you build a group like Kirill, you're part of Growth Hackers group, Raj. He was very selective in his group and he helps me build groups. He built our Drop Service Mafia ones. And he focuses on quality in his group. He's very strict on that. And I remember we used to have that discussion, me and him, well before he started his group, about focusing on WhatsApp and building a community. And it does wonders for him. So yeah, WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups work really well. Look, the summary of this is automated outreaches, use growth hacking strategies, connect with growth hackers, make them your best friend. These guys are freaking smart. So growth hackers. And the second one is build a community. It is so valuable. Podcasting is really powerful. Do what Raj is doing and what I'm doing. I'm launching a whole bunch of podcasts in different industries. Podcasting where you have someone's attention for 20, 30, 40, 60 minutes is crazy valuable, crazy valuable. And you can connect to anyone with a podcast. People that are just getting out of, yesterday I did a podcast interview with someone who just started getting out of university. He's in the Drop Service Mafia group. You can connect to almost anyone through your podcast. So yeah.
Absolutely. Appreciate you sharing practical knowledge, information, not like theoretical. This is what I read in a book. This is stuff you do right now. So I think that's what's powerful about what you shared. So, and I want a lot more people, because I've been following you and learned a lot from the group, from our conversations. Where's the best way to follow Mario?
Yeah, sure. Best thing to do, I've got a lot of free content. Now, if you want to join our communities, there's one community that's going really well. We've got a few of them. Is Drop Service Mafia. So that's if you want to launch an agency. Drop, as in dropping a phone, Service Mafia. So dropservicemafia.com. Or just Google my name, Mario Nawfal, Nawfal. Reach out to me somehow, whatever way. WhatsApp is best. You can find my WhatsApp on my website. And I'll add you to the relevant group, because we've got a lot of communities on WhatsApp with other like-minded entrepreneurs. And I'm giving away so much free content for free. Like literally all the strategies I use, I'm starting to film them and share them. So if you're a person that knows how to execute, I'm giving you everything you need without paying a cent.
And I can second that, because I'm part of the Drop Service Mafia, and I'm seen a lot of Mario's videos. He absolutely gives away a lot of his secret sauce for free. So at the end of the day, it's on you to learn and execute. So I appreciate everything you do, Mario, and appreciate you taking time to talk to me. And thank you from 1 Million Minds. And hopefully we will talk to you sometime soon.
Thanks, Raj.
Thank you. All right.